Guess it's Q&A time. Let's get to it. Bam! What's going on, guys? Forrest here, Cichlid Man 09, and welcome to the Fish Room. Welcome to Q&A number 3 with me, Forrest, Cichlid Man 09. If you've got any questions for myself, I'll say it now before the end of the video because most people don't watch till the end. If you've got any questions for me, cichlidman09@gmail.com. If you're confused about the spelling, it's right down there where it says my name. cichlidman09@gmail.com. You can hit me up with any kind of question. It does not have to be fish related. Can be whatever. How do you tie your sneakers in the morning? Boxers or briefs? Might be a little too intimate for that question, but I still might answer it. But yeah, any questions for me? I'm not going to guarantee every single question gets thrown into a video, but I will try my best to get all of the questions answered. Be that in a video like this today with you guys, or just answered via email. Sometimes it's easier just to use the typity typer. What are those things called? Keymasters. It's just easier to use the Keymaster sometimes, and answer those quickly. So let's get to it. First question today is actually a question I saw on another Q&A. The originator, Mr. John over at KG Tropicals, the man who, yes, this series is somewhat of a copy of, but I figured I'd get different questions than John. So why not do one myself? And we just happened to get the same question, and I'm going to kind of, give my little 2 cents on basically what is the same question from the same person that he answered. So, by the way, I don't disagree with anything that he said answering this question. From Brandon Bishop. Love the videos. Thank you, Brandon. I learned so much from them. Keep them coming. I have a question. I was wondering if you know how to grow cichlids faster, because I have about 35 in a 220-gallon tank. My umbies are having a little marital dispute over there. That's what that splashing sound was. I have about 35 in a 220-gallon tank. I do 30% water changes every week. I feed mostly Hikari Cichlid Biogold mini floating pellets, and also some shrimp pellets, Cichlid crisps, and Hikari massive carnivore mini sinking pellets. A lot of Hikaris in there. Not my favorite brand. The smallest cichlid is about 3 inches, and the biggest is about 6 inches. They're all 2 to 3 years, but they just don't want to grow. Please help me. I want them bigger. Well, there's this new product out there. They call it Fishroids. Now, it's illegal in 32 countries. Just kidding. So, to double onto what John said to you, Brandon, most fish, all fish, grow at different rates and grow to different sizes, no matter what a max size is supposed to be. My umbies, max size is supposed to be 24 upwards. Some people say 30 inches. Does that mean that Azul and Blondie are both going to get to 24 inches long? Absolutely not. They may get larger, they may stay smaller, they may get to exactly 24 inches, but because there's such a variability in the actual growth of cichlids in terms of when you put them in a tank and you let them live, and water quality parameters and food and all this kind of stuff play such a big factor into it, that expecting all fish to grow to their max size is a little bit of a reach. I will say you're stocking. I'm assuming that these are African cichlids. I don't think 35 Central American cichlids, after 2 to 3 years, would only be 2 to 3 inches. That wouldn't happen. So I'm guessing that we're talking Africans here, which I have zero expertise in. But what I do have a little bit of knowledge on is, what I would give advice to anybody, no matter the situation, on how I would approach getting fish to grow a little bit more. Now, I will say, though, that after 2 to 3 years, 2 to 3 years is quite a long time in the terms of the growth maturation process in fish, at least from what I've seen. Hulk over there I've had for 2.5 years now, and after 2.5 years, he's basically to adult size. So after 2.5 years to 3 years of these fish growing, you might be maxed out. So in terms of the advice I'm going to give you here in a second, it may not work, it may work a little bit, but after 2 to 3 years, you may be just a little bit behind the 8 ball. But my generic advice to somebody who's wanting to grow cichlids and grow them quicker. One, provide them with adequate space, which you've done. 35 Africans into 220 sounds about right to me. It doesn't seem ludicrous. So that seems great. Your water changes, however, is where I would address your issue. 30% per week on a tank that I would consider stocked, not super heavy, but pretty decently stocked. You've probably got a pretty decent amount of waste coming through that system. So my generic advice to anybody who wants to grow fish is, one, maybe increase the food intake a little bit, maybe increase the protein. Those two aren't so important. The one thing that I will suggest to anybody is, first question will be, how much water are you changing? You said 30% per week. Now, if it were me and I was in that situation, I wanted to, with a somewhat decently stocked tank, I would up my water change percentage. Clean water, clean water, clean water is, something that I'll suggest to anybody who's looking to grow cichlids. Fish food is irrelevant sometimes, this and that, and, percentages and all this kind of stuff. The one thing that I can say has affected fish growth the most for me, no matter what I've ever fed, be that Southern Delight, when I fed Hikari, when I fed Omega 1, when I fed NLS, when I fed Northfin, is the more water you change, the faster your fish are going to grow, because the cleaner your water is, basically. So, for me, I know this has been a long way to answer this question, and I 100% agree with what John said. Fish sometimes just don't grow to full size. It's just how it is. And full size is just a number, really. It all depends on the individual fish, the water quality that they've lived in. But, for me, if right now you're like, hey, I want my fish to grow, I want to see what I can do to get them to grow, up that water change percentage to 50% minimum. And when I'm really, really wanting to grow fish, I try and turn over 100% of that water weekly, be that in a couple changes, 5 changes, 2 changes, not 1 change, of course, but I try and change as much water as possible. That'll get your fish growing quickly. So thanks for the question, Brandon. Next question from Raul Guevara. I believe I said that right. Hey man, just recently found your channel. I'm a new subscriber. Thank you for subscribing, Raul. Saw your video that said we can email you the questions. Got one for you. Talking about it right now. I have a red Texas cichlid. I was wondering what kind of tank mates I can have with him. He's been alone since I first got him about 2 months ago, and would like to add more fish tank with him. Thanks. In terms of my experience with a red Texas, none. I'm not a keeper of hybrids. If you didn't know, red Texas are hybrids. Hybrid between a few different fish out there. Could get into details, but it's not really super important. And again, I'm going to go with more of a cookie cutter generic advice here. With aggressive fish, aggressive cichlids that get rather large, red Texas is probably going to get about the size of Hope, depending on male or female. If it's a male, about size Hope, a little bit smaller for female. But with fish like that get big and they get aggressive, my number one suggestion for a tank mate would be a pair. Pair off the fish, get another one, or find something else you could breed it with. Being a red Texas, it's already hybrid, so you can find whatever out there. I'm not against hybrids. I'll kind of go off on a little tangent. I'm not against hybrids. I'm against misrepresentation of fish in the hobby. You can breed whatever you want with whatever they want. If the parts work and fish come out of it, I'm not the one to say, hey, this is wrong. But what really gets to me is when fish are distributed falsely, and hybrid fish are either labeled as purebred or the other way around, or whatever. Mislabeled fish is what drives me nuts. But in terms of hybrids, do whatever you want. Everybody has their own hobby and make their own choices. And I'm not one to be holier than thou and suggest not to. So do whatever. Like I said, the number one suggestion I would give to anybody with an aggressive, big possible fish is the most likely tank mate that's gonna live for a long time is gonna be a compatible female or male, depending on whatever your starter fish is. And just get a pair. That's my favorite community setting, is a male and a female in a tank alone by themselves where they can interact. Mixing other types of fish in there is great, and when it works, it's beautiful, but it can be really difficult to find aggressive fish to mix with aggressive fish, and it can be a lot of adjusting. Well, this guy doesn't work, this guy doesn't work, well what? Do I gotta rearrange his tank? So my first suggestion would be try to get a female, get some spawning going. But the big thing is make sure you're representing the fish as what they are, no matter if you're distributing or not. Make sure the fish that go out to other hobbyists, and if you can't trust your local market, use them as feeders. Because that's what it comes down to. Because once it comes out of your hands, then it goes to another guy and another guy. And I'm not going to get super in depth about it. My big thing is misrepresentation of fish in the hobby. and you know, making sure what's out there is what's out there, right? So, you know, in terms of tank mates, probably not a whole lot. Maybe a Pleco or Pleco, however the heck you say it. Maybe, you know, maybe some other things. But you know, my number one suggestion would be try and find a female, and maybe get some spawning going. So, thanks for the question, Raul. Got another question from Nicholas Barbagallo. He's hogging the airtime here. He had a question number one. Hey Forrest, it's Nick again. I wanted to thank you for putting my question in your video. You're welcome, and here we go again. I have a few more questions for you. What are the dimensions to your 225? 8 foot long, 30 inches wide, 18 inches tall. Next question, what is it made out of? About half-inch acrylic all the way around. Very nice, very well-built tank. And where did you get it? How did you build it? I did not build it. I got it from a guy off Craigslist, and I'll kind of go into a little story about the dimensions from the guy off Craigslist. And filtered with, I got 2 sponge filters, the XY380s, and then I got a sponge, or not a sponge, a sump, with running about 500 gallons per hour, with a whole bunch of biomedia and all that kind of stuff. A bunch of stuff that's been around for a while. I've been thinking about changing up filtration on that. Got to figure out exactly what I want to do, but I think eventually we're going to change it up. Funny little story about the dimensions. When I first saw the ad on Craigslist, what the heck's in my pocket? Just a receipt. When I first saw the ad on Craigslist, how I read it was the tank was 8 foot long, 18 inches wide, and 24 inches tall. Which, you know, I think is a 180 is when I remember looking back to the dimensions. $50, and I was like, oh, I'm all over this. I'm gonna run up there and go get it. It was up in Seattle. I'm about an hour and a half outside of Seattle. And so basically the next day I called up my best friend who actually got me in the hobby. Shout out to Derek. You know, we drove all the way up there to pick up the tank. We get up there and I look at the tank and it's on its side. And you know, how it was on its side and standing up would have been how the dimensions were, like how I was expecting the dimensions to be. But then I look at it and I see that the access holes would have been on the front panel of the tank, and I was like, hold on a second. Is this tank wide instead of tall? And I was like, dang, oh my gosh. Hold on a second. I gotta show you this. I don't want to have to put a divider in here, but holy, these two, I did a water change on this tank and these two have like flipped a freaking switch. He has her entire face. Good thing fish don't breathe through their mouths. Holy crap. This is what I'm talking about when I say the male cichlids completely have all the power in here, and if he decides to flip, he could kill her, which is kind of making me uncomfortable right now. Alright, let's get back to our Q&A while those two hopefully don't do anything too crazy. Let's finish this up real quick. Finish up with Nick's question. I think we got another one we got to answer. We don't want to make this thing way too long. Keep an eye on those guys. Camera's right behind it. So I get their access holes are what would be on the front panel of the tank. I was like, wait a second. So what ends up happening is, so my, you know, perceived dimensions of the tank are, you know, skinny and tall, but what it ends up being is wide and short, which honestly is my preference. Much bigger footprint. 6 by 8 or 8 by 18 is what? 8.5 foot. So what is that? 12 square foot. And instead of having a 12 square foot footprint, I've got a 20 square foot footprint. So pretty cool because it's 8 by 30, only 18 inches tall, which I haven't had an issue with yet. So pretty cool. Thanks for the question again, Nick. Leah Foxcroft. Hey Forrest, love your channel. You have an excellent sense of humor. Thank you very much. My question is, why do you think there are more guys than gals involved in the hobby? Thanks, buddy. Stay excellent. Thank you for the question, Leah. I could not tell you exactly why there's more men than females. I believe out of my 2,700 whatever subscribers, 85% are men and 15% are females. I couldn't tell you exactly why. Maybe fish are slimy and gross, and maybe a lot of women. That's kind of a uninteresting fact. I'm gonna have to put a divider in that tank once I'm done with this, because they are going to town on each other. It's kind of making me uncomfortable. You guys can't tell. But yeah, I couldn't tell you. I want you guys who are watching this video in the comments below, answer that question. I want your guys' opinion. Why there's more men than women? And if you're a man, say that you're a man. And if you're a woman, put down in the comments that you're a female keeping fish. I'd like to see, out of people watching this video, what kind of percentages male to female are watching. But honestly, I couldn't tell you. I'd love to see more women keeping fish, more women getting into this. My fiance loves watching my fish, and she enjoys, watching them grow and stuff. But in terms of like doing the work to do it and being near my fish that could bite her and are slimy and are gross and flop all over the place, she wants no part of it. Thanks for the question, Leah. And last but not least, we're going to end with Kurt Wurzenbacher. Now, the title on this one is G'day from Australia. What's up, Kurt? Happy to be conversing with somebody on a completely different continent. That's one amazing thing about this whole YouTube thing is, not everybody watching this video lives 10 minutes away from me. This guy's in Australia. So, Kurt, hi Forrest. What's up, Kurt? Love your videos, and energy makes my commute to work enjoyable. The fact that somebody would listen to my stuff or watch my videos on their commute to work, one, might be a little dangerous if you're driving and watching my videos. I don't suggest that. But that's stuff that I've done with other people's videos. It's weird to think that people would do with my videos. It's just weird. I've been in the hobby for less than a year and gone from a 10 gallon to a 10, 20, and a 52 gallon. He put liters in there, but I'm in America, so I don't use the liters. It's hard for me to process liters to gallons because I'm not that smart. I have 2 questions. By the way, that's a pretty good jump right there. 10 to 20 to 20 52. That's about what I did in my first year. 2 questions. If you had an Olympic swimming pool sized tank, what would you stock it with? Great question. Also, what's your dream fish, obviously apart from your current fish? Anyway, enjoy your winter while I'm melting in the Australian summer weather. Cheers, Kurt. I'd love some Australian summer weather about now, but Washington weather is honestly fantastic. I love it. It's very temperate. Lots of rain. I don't complain. The air is fresh. It's nice. Again, hello from America, Mr. Kurt in Australia. If I had an Olympic swimming pool sized tank, obviously what's going to go in there is those big oddball fish, Arapaimas, arowanas, big old catfish, red-tailed catfish, tiger shovel-nosed catfish. I couldn't tell you all that stuff because I haven't studied it enough to, because it's just, it's unrealistic for me to even research it because I can't keep that stuff. But if I had something that big, what is it? I don't remember the dude's username, but you guys know him. He's got about 3,000 subs. He's got this giant pool pond where he's got 7-foot Arapaimas in there. Crazy amounts of stuff. He's got like alligator snapping turtles, Walago catfish in his like 900 gallon. You guys know what I'm talking about. He's got TLDKN or something is his username. I don't remember. But something like that would be my Olympic swimming sized pool. And that goes hand in hand with your second question is what is my dream fish? They're all going to be in that Olympic swimming pool. I'm not going to waste that space with putting a bunch of filler fish in there. No. All of my dream fish are going to go into there. So Arapaima, I think Arapaima would be probably tops on my list in terms of like, if you could only, keep one fish no matter what volume of water, I'd be all over it. Same thing goes for like arowanas and all that kind of crap. It'd be absolutely fantastic and amazing. But my realistic dream fish, and I know you said apart from my current fish, is growing a umbi or dovai, one or the other, or both at the same time, growing them 10, 15, 20 years old to just absolutely massive proportions. And that kind of goes with another little dream of mine, is to just grow fish until they die of old age. And it's a little morbid to say until they die, but I just love to grow fish from when they're this big until, they've lived their full life, no early deaths, no fell out of a fish tank. I'd like to just grow fish to their full size, full maturity, and growing a large, monstrous umbi or dovai at 24, 25, 27, upwards of 28 inches would be absolutely my dream. No matter if I have them or not, that's still, Mel O'Meara, his dovai is what, and his videos is what really got me into this, keeping Central and South Americans. So yeah, those honestly, if I had an Olympic swimming size, nobody'd want to go swimming in there. I'll just say that because it'd be dangerous. I would still do it though because that'd be amazing, and be filled with dream fish. Honestly, it'd be amazing. So that's gonna end our Q&A for today. I gotta stick a divider in that tank because those guys, are just not getting along right now, and it's really, honestly, stressing me out, and I don't like it because I love those fish to death. So, gonna go have to deal with some stuff that I really don't like dealing with, and I need to do that right now. All right, see you guys later.